Hey guys, welcome to the first video in our Bible in a Year plan for 2021. So we'll start off with Genesis, which is the first book in the Bible, and it also is part of the Pentateuch, which means the first 5 books of the Bible. Did you guys know that these books are also present in the Jewish holy book, which is the Torah? And we'll be learning about these books in the following weeks. Genesis is said to have been written by Moses, and it is believed that over 1,500 years of history is recorded in this single book. The word Genesis in Greek means the beginning, so let's start off there, in the beginning with the creation story.
Dad, do you want to see what I made?
Yes, Jesse, I love to see it. Oh my, that looks so amazing, Jesse. That looks so nice.
I took 3 hours to make it, and it was so hard.
Jesse, do you know how God created the whole world?
I think God took a very long time to make the entire world.
That's right. Let's see what Bible says about creation. Okay? In the beginning, God created the sky and the earth. The earth was empty and had no form. Darkness covered the ocean, and God's Spirit was moving over the water. Then God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. God saw that the light was good, so He divided the light from the darkness. God named the light day, and the darkness night. Evening passed, and morning came. This was the first day. Then God said, "Let there be something to divide the water in two." So God made the air to divide the water in two. Some of the water was above the air, and some of the water was below it. God named the air sky. Evening passed, and morning came. This was the second day. Then God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered together, so the dry land will appear." And it happened. God named the dry land earth. He named the water that was gathered together seas. God saw that this was good. Then God said, "Let the earth produce plants," and it happened. The earth produced plants. Some plants had grain for seeds. The trees made fruit with seeds in it. Each seed grew its own kind of plant. God saw that all this was good. Evening passed and morning came. This was the third day. Then God said, "Let there be lights in the sky to separate day from night. They will be in the sky to give light to the earth." And it happened. So God made the 2 large lights. He made the brighter light to rule the day. He made the smaller light to rule the night. He also made the stars. God put all these in the sky to shine on the earth. God saw that all these things were good. Evening passed and morning came. This was the 4th day. Then God said, "Let the water be filled with living things, and let birds fly in the air above the earth." So God created the large sea animals. He created every living thing that moves in the sea. God also made every bird that flies. God saw that this was good. God blessed them and said, "Have many young ones and grow in number." Evening passed and morning came. This was the 5th day. Then God said, "Let the earth be filled with animals, and let each produce more of its own kind. Let there be tame animals, and small crawling animals, and wild animals." And it happened. So God made the wild animals, the tame animals, and all the small crawling animals to produce more of their own kind. God saw that this was good. Then God said, "Let us make human beings in our image and likeness, and let them rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky. Let them rule over the tame animals, over all the earth, and over all the small crawling animals on the earth." So God created human beings in His image. In the image of God He created them. He created them male and female. God blessed them and said, "Have many children and grow in number. Fill the earth and be its master. Rule over the fish in the sea and over the birds in the sky. Rule over every living thing that moves on the earth." Evening passed and morning came. This was the 6th day. So the sky, the earth, and all that filled them were finished. By the 7th day, God finished the work He had been doing. So on the 7th day, He rested from all His work. God blessed the 7th day and made it a holy day. He made it holy because on that day He rested. He rested from all the work He had done in creating the world. God's creation was very amazing, isn't it, Jesse?
Yes, Dad, God's creation was very amazing. God, thank you for giving us a lovely world. Thank you for the twinkling stars and the bright sun and the cool moon. I love you, Lord, and I will always obey your words all the time.
We may think, how can we surely know that God exists? Well, one of the ways is if we look around at His creation. All of these things can't have come by chance. It took the time and actions of a creator who made all of this with such detail. So we can read the handwriting of God in His creation. The authority of God over nature and humanity is shown in God's creative work in the first 2 chapters of Genesis. One of the most important themes in this book is God's love for humans and His involvement in our lives. God created the universe, all of life, and He was pleased with His work. He gave humans the responsibility to take care of His creation. In the CCC, it says that God was not lonely or bored that He created us, but it was out of love for us. After Adam and Eve in Genesis, we see the lives of their children, Cain and Abel.
Hi, I'm Cain.
Hi, I'm Abel.
You know about a story, right?
The story about the sibling rivalry?
I had to get rid of my competition. But once all that happened, well, let's just say God wasn't pleased. He gave me such a harsh punishment. How's I meant to know hitting someone hard enough that they'll die? It never happened to me before.
Next, we hear about Noah. Do you guys know about the Great Flood?
During Noah's lifetime, people were acting very wickedly. This made God unhappy. It made Him sad because people seemed to be thinking more about themselves than about God. Noah, however, was a very good man. He loved and obeyed God, and God loved Noah very much. God actually loved all the people as much as He loved Noah, but at the time, only Noah was listening to God. God told Noah to build an ark, a great big boat. So Noah followed God's plan and built a boat that was 1.5 football fields long. That's a huge boat. Noah's neighbours laughed at him because there wasn't any water in the desert where they lived, but God told Noah that a great flood was coming. Noah tried to warn the people to change their ways so that they could hear God too, but they wouldn't listen. They just kept on living with their selfish lives. God asked Noah to collect 2 of all the creatures of the earth and bring them into the ark. He also told the animals to find Noah, so it wasn't very hard for Noah to gather them all together. Pairs of each kind of animal were put safely inside the ark before it began to rain. Noah's wife, his 3 sons, and their wives were also safe on the boat. When everyone was aboard, God shut the door. Noah and his family and the animals lived in the ark for 7 days before the first raindrops fell. Then it rained for 40 days and for 40 long nights. Soon the earth was covered with water. After it stopped raining, the water continued to rise for 150 days. The ark landed in the mountain range of Ararat during the 7th month of the flood. God sent a big wind and the waters began to evaporate. Noah and the floating zoo had to stay in the ark for several more months while the earth slowly dried out. Finally, Noah sent a raven out of the ark's window to look for land. The raven never returned. Noah waited another week for the water level to go down and then sent a dove to do the same thing. The dove couldn't find a place to rest, so it returned to the ark. Another week passed, and then Noah sent the dove out again. This time, it came back with an olive branch. Noah now knew that the water was low enough for a tree branch to show. When Noah sent off the dove a week later, it didn't return. The dove had found a place to live on dry land. Altogether, Noah and his family and the animals lived on the ark for 1 year, 1 month, and 27 days. It was now time for all the creatures and Noah's family to get off the ark. Noah and his family and the animals needed to start life over again. After everyone left the ark, Noah prayed to God to thank him for keeping them safe. Suddenly, a bright rainbow filled the sky. This was God's promise that he would never ever flood the earth again.
Hey guys, so I started off with a kitchen roll which I turned green. Now you can either paint this, you can use paper, it's completely up to you. So next I decided to take a pipe cleaner and roll it around my finger to create a spring. This is actually going to go inside of the kitchen roll and I taped this in place. Now for the next step, I took some tissue paper, or you can take normal paper. I folded this up and I used this to cover one end of the kitchen roll and I secured this with a rubber band. You can also trim down the excess just to give it a cleaner look. Now this is where you can get really creative. I used some dried rice and some dried beans and also some crushed up pasta, and I placed this inside of the tube. Now you secure this with another tissue paper at the end. Now don't forget you can use anything to place inside the tube as long as it makes some kind of noise when you shake it. Now in order to personalize this even more, you can add your own decorations to it as well. So thank you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this.
Hey guys, so you know me from Genesis also, but let me tell you a quick thing about my story. So there were many ups and downs, but me and my wife Sarah, we had our son Isaac when Sarah was actually 90 years old. And one day God came to me and asked me to sacrifice my one and only son, who I loved so dearly, and I loved him so much. But nevertheless, I trusted God and I surrendered it to his will. And what happened was, God was actually testing my faith, and he broke through and told me that, I didn't need to sacrifice my son, and he saved my son. But, God had made me a promise, which was to make me the father of all nations and to make my descendants as numerous as the stars. And God was testing me to see how how much I trusted in him. Now, what God really wants all of us to do is trust in him and believe in him and surrender ourselves to him. Now, God has a plan for you even before you were born. This may be hard to understand, but we must believe it. And above all, we must trust in God.
Hey friends, I'm Joseph, a dreamer to a governor of Egypt. God protected me and watched over me each step of my way. But the greatest of all was the gift of forgiveness that God gave me, so I could show my brothers even after what they did. And just like I did, learning to love your siblings, even through their mistakes, is a way for God to come into your life, to teach you and guide you in the right way.
Jacob, let's go hunting in the field.
No, brother, I would prefer to stay at home.
Jacob, that smells so nice. Can you give me some, please? I'm so famished.
I'll give you the stew, of course. But first, give me your birthright.
Birthright? What does birthright do for me? Obviously you can have it.
Really?
Yeah.
First, but promise that. Promise you'll give me your birthright, though. Well, sure, you can have some stew. Get the bread. That's your stew.
Hence Esau promised to give his birthright to his brother, without realizing the value it holds. Some of us may do this in our daily life, make decisions based on things which are temporary, rather than valuing the eternal. In this case, Esau didn't see the long-term value of his birthright and gave it away without much thought. Later in this story, when Isaac was old and he felt that his end was near, he wanted to give his final blessings to Esau, the firstborn. So he called him over and instructed him to take his weapons and hunt a game and cook the same for him to his liking. Rebekah, who was listening to the conversation, wanted Jacob to receive these blessings instead. So when Esau had gone, she instructed Jacob to get 2 goats from the flock. She told Jacob that she would prepare a savory meal to Isaac's liking. Since Esau was hairier than Jacob, she covered his arms and neck in goatskin, and also clothed Jacob in Esau's clothes, before sending him to see Isaac.
Father, here I am, Esau, your firstborn. I have came with your meal that you have asked me to prepare. Please sit up and eat it, and give me your blessing.
Father, I've prepared the meal you asked me to prepare. Please get up, eat it, and give me your blessing.
Isaac then told Esau that earlier he thought he had blessed him, but both of them realized that Jacob had deceitfully come in, pretending to be Esau, and prepared him food.
Have you only got one blessing, Father? Father, bless me also, Father. Bless me!
Now Esau hated Jacob because of how he coveted his birthrights and now his blessings. Similarly, have you ever felt an intense anger or hatred towards your brother or your sister? Have you ever felt tricked by them, or maybe you feel like they are better at things than you, or that your parents prefer them over you? But after reflecting on the story of Jacob and Esau, where one act of deceit caused feelings of such intense pain, hatred, and anger inside the person being hurt. However, the story of Jacob and Esau ends on a good note. It teaches on trusting in God and forgiveness. Through the lives of these three families in Genesis, we can see and appreciate the importance of loving your siblings. The Word of God says in 1 John chapter 4 verse 20, "Those who say I love God but hate their brother or sister are liars. For those who do not love a brother or sister whom they have seen cannot love a God whom they have not seen." This is a reminder for each one of us to love our family members and find the goodness of God in them.
Hey Angela, what are you doing?
I was just trying to build a tower.
Oh, that's cool.
Did you know that the world's tallest tower was over 100 feet tall?
Wow, I didn't know that, no. This reminds me about the story of the Tower of Babel in the Bible.
Really? What happened?
Well, the people of the earth got together and decided they were going to try and reach heaven by building a really tall tower.
What happened next?
God didn't think that was a good idea, so he made lots of different languages and he confused them so that they couldn't understand each other when they were building the tower.
Why did God do that?
Well, it's because the people got really proud and they started not trusting in God and they didn't listen to his commandments. So they were trying to get to heaven without his help, and now we know now that that's not possible.
Hey guys, so today I'm going to be sharing with you 3 of my favourite Bible verses from the book of Genesis chapter 49. In the book of Genesis chapter 49 verses 22 to 24 it says, "Joseph is a fruitful bough by a spring. His branches run over the wall. The archers fiercely attacked him. They shot him and pressed him hard. Yet his bow remained taut, and his arms were made agile by the hands of the mighty one of Jacob, by the name of the shepherd, the rock of Israel." So the same Jesus who strengthened Joseph will strengthen each one of us during this pandemic. Thank you for watching. Remember to like and share this video and subscribe to our channel. Next week we will be reading the book of Exodus. God bless you all.